The World and I, Message 2. This is all about the concept of God. And I must admit that I won't characterize myself as a religious person because I'm not. I had a hard time through all my searches and readings to reconcile the concept of faith with the concept of proof and science. Perhaps by my academic upbringing, I had always had um, questions in my mind. So I will admit that I had doubts, but having spent the last 2 or 3 decades reviewing all the evidence for and against God, for science, or for God, I came to the following conclusions. One, most religions, if not all, make a very good case why there should be a creator. And even though I don't accept point blank this contention by so many religions, I have to admit that it seems to be in the essence of humans to believe in some kind of a deity. Notwithstanding, of course, that our life is based on experiences, on our senses, on what we see and what we touch, but I still think that the majority of human beings on the face of the planet have had a long history of debating this topic, and I still believe that the majority uh, have accepted the concept that God exists. Now to the other side, number two. Even with my academic upbringing and my desire to look at scientific evidence, understand what I've read, look at arguments from theory of evolution, from the Big Bang Theory, from Stephen's relativity, Einstein and Stephen latest statement that the universe could have been created or simply existed. All these things, I've really thought about them very, very carefully. I have myself reached to the following conclusions. I think up to this point in my life, I have not seen sufficient evidence on the side of science to convince me that science is wrong and that science is right, and that I should side with science and give away this notion of God in favor of simply saying there is no God and that we have this life is all we have, and in essence these are the two principles that have guided me thus far. So principle number one, the view of the people who believe in the existence of God through theology, through religions, through whatever means, is fairly appealing. And up to this point, I think that theory is more than that. You have to accept it as a matter of faith. And notwithstanding that many of us feel that faith is not necessarily with us, and one of the religions says faith is a gift, nevertheless, some things you have to take on faith. And the second part, in summary, with respect to science, is that I have not seen sufficient explanation from science, notwithstanding the evolution theory and all the Einstein and Stephen theories, that convinces me that they are wrong, because all they are theories, and if I'm going to have to accept them on faith, then I might as well also accept on faith the existence of God and the consequence, the ramifications of that. Certainly, there are a lot more at stake if you truly believe there is a God and that we have a soul that's going to live forever. Significantly more ramifications than to simply say, where there is no God, science is all that there is, and science will help us to live a little longer. Not that I'm looking forward to living very long, because from my own personal experience with my parents and grandparents, there's suffering that goes with living long time. And so I'm not really on that side. I am on the side that I ask God that I have doubt about his existence. I ask that to help my unbelief. But I will side on that side because I find the side of science not to be very convincing. So that's a foundation for what I'm going to be saying in the future. It's not that I don't agree with science. I am simply saying that the science as I know it today and all the theories that I've studied do not convince me that science has given answers. Granted, perhaps science will come with other answers, but that's not enough for me. I live in the moment. I have to make my decisions based on where I am. And science, on the matter of God, is not much of a help. So I would rather choose to have faith and to side with those, for many, many good reasons, I believe, to side with those that accept that God does exist and that God has created us, and in itself then we have to get to the point about, well, what God is, and I'll get that into another discussion. I will deal with that later, but at the moment I just wanted to share with you my struggle between taking the side of science and the side of religion, given that I'm not a religious person. So I would call myself, I'm a man looking for the truth. I accept on faith for now, and hopefully to the end of my life, that God does exist, and I will characterize this God in future sessions, but for now, that is my manifesto. So long.